First in line is Inhee Chung, sustainability expert specialist at LG Chem. Inhee is a seasoned environmental, climate, and sustainability specialist with more than 20 years experience with climate action and sustainability issues from, among other places, the United Nations Environment Programme and the Global Green Growth Institute. At LG Chem, her role is to turn the climate and sustainability challenge into a key competitive advantage. Inhee will talk for 5 minutes on how companies in Korea are scaling up innovation for sustainable growth. It's a great pleasure to me to have you here. Inhee Chung.
Thank you, Ambassador, for that very nice introduction. Very nice to be here at the magnificent venue. It's my first time, but very glad to be here and very glad to meet you all. It's a short intervention, so I only have 2 slides, and I'll go through them quite briefly. However, I understand there will be a discussion session later where I'll elaborate on some of the things I'll say. So I've been in the climate action and sustainability field for some time, and it's very recently that I've seen so much commitment and so much progress that has happened in this really race to zero. It's really a race. And it's really a very, very exhilarating experience for me, having been in the field for so long. And there's been a lot of talk for the last couple of decades, and now that we can really see action. And of course, the global trend is rapid decarbonization. Of course, starting with the European Commission, I think the EU has really started off on a very, very strong note with the raised ambition for the 2030 target from 40 to 55% reduction, according to the Climate Target Plan, as well as the carbon border tax, which is actually bringing some alarm bells to industries worldwide, especially Korea, because we do export to EU. So that's been a bit of a pressure point, as well as maybe an opportunity for innovation as well, because there is that pressure. And then now we are seeing the US really taking action as well, with the Biden administration coming into play. The Biden has announced going net zero power by 2035, which is a huge step forward compared to the previous administration. And also, I understand that the administration is also exploring carbon border tax by 2025 as well. So now US is moving together with the EU. Even China, they've actually committed to climate neutrality by 2060. And the national carbon ETS has just been launched in February 2021, with the power sector sort of leading the pilot work. And by 2025, other facilities with over 26,000 tons of CO2 per year will also be part of this national ETS scheme. So yes, this is a whole mega trend that's happening. And also markets are also, I think, very much at the head of the game as well. I mean, low carbon and carbon neutral business environment is really booming. A lot of companies have committed to going climate neutral as well by 2050, if not 2030. Requests and pressure from clients is also something that I think especially Korean companies have felt. The supply chain pressure. For example, the automobile OEMs, the original equipment manufacturer like BMW or Volkswagen, etc., they're asking for their batteries to be like zero carbon, which is like bringing some alarm bells to the battery manufacturers like LG Chem, who's now, that's why we've been trying to go RE100 for some of the facilities, especially those that we supply to the European customers. We are trying to embed carbon price into business strategies and plans, because that makes both risk assessment sense and also opportunity. So that's the kind of a market trend that we're seeing. And of course, Korea has also announced going carbon neutral by 2050, which has been presented by the previous speaker from the Busan University. So with all that, let me just see if that works. Okay. So with all that, where does the industry stand? Well, the big round graph that you see is actually a global perspective. Of course, energy is a big chunk of where the carbon emissions come from. But of that big chunk, industry is also about 24% of the 73% of energy, CO2 coming from the sector. So all in all, global GHG emissions from industries are about 30%, which is quite high. And this is quite in line with the Korea profile. In Korea, about 2017 levels, about 37% of greenhouse gas come from the industrial sector, and about 36 from the energy sector. So with both, it's going over 70%, which is a huge amount. And that's where we have to target in Korea to go carbon neutral by 2050. So where does companies stand with all this pressure coming from globally, from nationally, et cetera? For LG Chem or for chemical industry, such as LG Chem, we're looking at three big areas. We're looking at reducing our own emissions to start with. We're looking at procuring power through renewable energy sources. And then we're also looking at really understanding the life cycle impacts of the product and see how we can reduce the emissions there. And all these areas really require innovation. At the same time, we're really trying to see how we can really step up public-private partnerships in the R&D community. And I think our first session was really dealing a lot with that. So those are the key areas I just want to maybe leave with so that I can elaborate that on a bit more during the panel discussion session. Thank you.
Thank you.